Welcome to Dog on the Plot, and we're on the plot, and I thought we'd start with a few updates because there's some good stuff, there's some bad stuff, and there's one particular thing that is downright ugly. So we better start with that one. So here are my outdoor tomatoes, and I'm sure you can guess what's coming. And in fact, I only said to a plot neighbour yesterday, this time last year we'd got the blight, but we haven't got it this year. Well, it looks like I spoke too soon. That looks pretty blighty to me. Now that's the only branch that I can see it on. I've just looked in the greenhouse and the tomatoes in there all look fine. These are quite compacted. I haven't really been taking the suckers off. I haven't really been maintaining airflow, which was one of the things that I didn't do last year and said I would do better on this year, and clearly haven't. I mean, some like the Roma, they're semi-determinate anyway, so those you wouldn't necessarily have to take the suckers off. But I did plant them quite close together, so then you're not getting such good airflow. Anyway, what I will do is take off that one affected branch and get rid of it, and just hope that it doesn't spread too fast and we still get some of these outdoor tomatoes, because last year the blight got all the outdoor tomatoes before I got any ripened. Actually, there's one that's ripe now. So I think this variety is Croccini. So this is a blight resistant variety. Quite tough skin, quite thick skin. But yeah, that's fine, that's tasty. I tried to put more of the blight resistant, like I separated out what was blight resistant and made sure that those were the ones that went outdoors. But I had excess tomatoes, so some of these, there's crazy Barry's crazy cherry, there's definitely the crushed heart. Obviously, the day that you forget the microphone is the day somebody decides to drill. There's definitely the crushed heart out here and the midnight Roma, but there are also some randoms that are not blight resistant. So perhaps that one is one of those random ones and the others will be able to withstand it more. So this is fox damage. So the foxes have been in these beds again, kicking up all the soil. They haven't actually kicked out, I don't think, any more plants in this bed. These are the Brussels sprouts, and a few had died a death anyway, but this one looks pretty good. These were the beds that they did before, which I then covered with wire, so they haven't been back in those ones. But that just shoved them over to this side. The shadow's in the way. And they've been in the chard there, so they've kicked up some of the chard. But the chard on that side, wow, that's grown in the last couple of days. That looks great. And in fact, everything in this bed looks super healthy, really good. This is the leek bed that they were in before, but once the wire's over the top, it's fine. So they're fine. But this one and the one behind it have only got the mesh over, and that's obviously not enough to deter them. And in fact, the mesh has blown off on this side. So yeah, I've got quite a lot of chicken wire, so perhaps time to get that round the edges of these beds. Anything else that's disheartening? Well, I mean, obviously the beans haven't magically come back, and my remaining 6 pumpkins still look very small in this bed, but it doesn't look like there's been any more fox damage around here. And I've been thinking about this fox damage because if you watch Jessie at plot 37, you'll know she's been suffering the same kind of fox damage as I have. And she was blaming the bloodfish and bone, which seems perfectly sensible. But of course, that's not something that I use here as a veganic gardener. But I do use the rabbit bedding from my friend. And I wonder if the rabbit poop is what attracts the foxes to my plot in particular. Although I know I'm not alone on the site, other people have fox damage too. But I mean, my feeling is that they seem to be particularly attracted to my site, as do slugs, as do birds, as does pretty much anything that can destroy your crops. Although, having said that, I don't seem, and here, fingers crossed, I don't seem to have had any cabbage white problems. So here's the brassica cage, and look how lovely the Cavolo Nero are looking now. Really lovely. And yeah, I've had a quick sort of glance about in the cages, and clearly, like this netting, they can get through this. And I did find one, a cabbage white, over there the other day and oinked it out. But yeah, I can't see any caterpillars or caterpillar type damage. So that's good. There is still slug damage, and you can see over here, for instance, this is a kohlrabi, and this kohlrabi, it has been munched right the way through. I should probably just take that out at this point. But let's not dwell on that. Let's switch to the more positive things then. So I already showed you that bed that's got all the greens in, looking fantastic. If we come to the arches, now of course I wanted these arches to be, absolutely covered in greenery and pumpkins hanging down and beans. We're not going to get that, but we do have at least 4 bean plants that are growing up the arch. There we go. In fact, look at that one, creeping towards the very top. And even more exciting over here, we have an actual tromboncino. And it's a good size. I mean, you could harvest that right now as a summer squash. You could leave on the plant and it can be a winter squash and you can cure it. But I think I'm actually probably going to take it not much bigger than this. And next to it, we've got a couple of pumpkins coming here. Not sure the variety of these ones. I'll have a look at my list and pop it on the screen. And on the other side, we do have a pumpkin coming here as well. Now, obviously, there's not an awful lot left of the season for these to grow and ripen, but I'm going to say quite confidently that I do think there will be time. Now, something that is, I think, almost ready to harvest is the corn. So here's the sweet corn. Now, each of these plants doesn't have a mass of cobs. In fact, each one probably has one cob, maybe one and a little one. But they are big cobs. I mean, look at the size of that one. And some of them, the tassels have gone. So could be ready to harvest. What I did want to do is cover these, which I said in my last video and still haven't done. So that's a job for today. I'm going to cover the ones that have hopefully been pollinated and are now just waiting to ripen. But yeah, this corn, I'm hoping, once we get into the cobs, will be a success. Now, this is a slightly mixed bag because there are courgettes here that have really struggled. Lots of slug damage. This one as well. But then these two have gone absolutely mad. In fact, I think there might be 4 in here. I think each of these has got 2 plants in. And I have been harvesting from them. And there's plenty more to come. And in fact, there's some more here that are ready to harvest. There's one. Another couple there. And I'm really loving how the amaranth comes up between the courgette plants. Looks really, really nice. And if you were wondering how my melons were doing, they're still alive and they are travelling up the poles. I really do not think we're going to get melons. But the poor plant, it is trying. Oh, oh, it was trying and I've knocked it off. But yeah, I don't think that was going to make a melon. And then just lastly on our quick check-in, this is the glass gem corn. And this has now just started flowering. So hopefully I'm going to get some of that corn as well. Can't see any cobs forming yet, but the growth is lovely. Really lovely. If we lastly just pop over to the greenhouse. Is that another blossom end drop one? Yeah, might be able to cut the bottom off that one though and still be okay. These honeymoon ones, no, honeycomb, are looking okay. Any more ripening going on? Oh, a couple here. What's that variety? Oh, they're supposed to be sun gold. Clearly not sun gold. Any more? There's loads on that one. one. That's Black Beauty. And this one looks huge. That's a Black Trifeli, that one. But yeah, they look okay. No signs of blight. I've just remembered one more thing that I have to show you. That's right back at the front of the plot. Excuse me, Dory. Up over your lead. Let's see if it's still there. Yeah, still there. We have the vast cosmos. Ah, you're so pretty. You're so pretty. If you remember, the entirety of the front of the plot last year was absolutely covered in cosmos, and this year, it's just been so slow to get going. In part because this was, of course, was all covered in compost for most of the spring, but it's popped up when the compost got moved, and yeah, I think in a few weeks' time we're gonna have a lovely little cosmos display at the front of the plot. And in the meantime, at the front of the plot, we have got raspberries, and we've got the little begonia planter that I did, and we've got that common mallow that's just putting on growth every time I come down here. Love it. And obviously we've got tree spinach. Oh, and the courgette that went in, and it was touch and go, is looking really healthy now. And if we come in here, you can see we've got a little ball courgette coming. Yeah, so my priorities are get the blighted branch off the tomato, tidy up where the fox has been playing about in the beds, try and secure those a little bit more, do some watering. I want to water those tomatoes in the greenhouse, and actually I think I water those tomatoes in the beds as well. We have been having some rain, but I just don't think we've been having enough, so I'll do some watering. So I'll do some watering, or I'll cover the cobs of the corn, might have a little peel back and see if any are ready. But otherwise, I think everything is just ticking along quite nicely. Oh, and we'll put those 3 purple sprouting broccolis in. I might put those in the bed where the Brussels sprouts are, because some of those Brussels sprouts did rot off, so I could put the purple sprouting broccoli in the gaps. Good plan. Okay, so that is the plan. I have a slurp of tea and quickly walk the dog, and then yeah, we'll get on with that. Well, that's the tomatoes watered in the greenhouse and the outdoor ones. And I picked what looked, what looked fairly ripe. And because, yeah, I think as soon as they start colouring up, whip them off and let them ripen at home rather than catch blight on the plants. Oh, it's getting a little bit windy, so I've come under the shelter. But the other thing I did was water the potatoes. Sorry, I watered the potatoes, which I feel I have neglected. The potatoes in the buckets, the main crop, don't look very blighty, so that's good. They do look like they're dying back, which I think is about the right time for that. And most of those are Sapomira, I think, and they should have good blight resistance. So I've watered them. There's still some foliage on them. I'll keep them in the buckets for now, but probably be harvesting some very soon because we're still in August eating. Still a couple of weeks to go, and Mum has run out of potatoes. So she's like, you need to harvest some potatoes. Other harvests we got were a couple of more courgettes, and from the blight stalk of the blight, oops, lost one, there was a little truss, and so these are quite clearly, oh, I can't speak, can I? These are quite clearly Barry's crazy cherry, and so that's the one that got the blight, worth knowing. Yeah, I don't think I can do anything with those particularly. I also couldn't just throw them in the compost heap, so they're coming home, and yeah, but staying very far away from the greenhouse at home. So yeah, a couple of courgettes. I could harvest some more things, tree spinach, of course, cabbage. I don't think I want to take anything else off the plot at the moment. The corn wasn't ready yet, but I am ready for lunch. So I think I'm going to call it a day, head home for lunch, and I will catch you later in the week. Welcome to the home garden. It's Friday. The sun is shining, but don't be fooled. We've got a storm passing through and it has been very blustery. I got up this morning and the raspberry plants out in the front and the hollyhocks and tansy and everything was whipping around outside. And then I popped out to the back and wanted to take some footage of the trees blowing around in the wind. And I just went back inside to make a cup of tea and I heard a crash. And one of the flimsies had gone over. And it just had a couple of trays in and yeah, everything had fallen out, but tried to pop it back in the tray. Some of it just fell into the tray of water and so I just kind of left it there. Went back in to finish making my tea, heard another almighty crash, and the bigger flimsy had fallen over, and that was full of seedlings. It got my brassicas in, it got all the things that were still in the little trays waiting to be pricked out. And yeah, all ended up being a massive mess on the floor. Labels had fallen out, stems were broken. So I did my best to kind of gather it all up and clear it up. And what's really annoying is that I've been putting off pricking out those and potting on those seedlings. So had I done that in advance of this morning, that might not have been quite such a disaster. However, it has forced me to do that job today. So I've made up a big lot of compost, and yeah, one of the first jobs of the day is to take those all out and get them potted up and see what can be salvaged. But gosh, it does really feel like if it's not one thing, it's another. Yeah, it just yeah, starting to weigh on me a little bit. I think I might be done with this season. No, I will persevere, but yeah, it's been testing. What I can say is that I had to take the car for its MOT this morning. So on the walk back, I dropped around the plot because I had no faith whatsoever that that brassica cage that I made would still be standing. And shockingly, it was. And thankfully, so is Mark's new polytunnel. So everything on the plot looked okay. Just I think one tomato stem had snapped, so I took that away. But there were no further signs of blight, so that is good. Except this weather is blustery, warm, wet weather. I mean, it's like blight made a wish, and and this is what it asked for. Anyway, the sun is shining, and I'm going to pop a podcast on and have a nice hour or two in here in the greenhouse, out of the wind. And after I've done that, I've been looking at the tomatoes, and actually, I think we can do a proper little tomato harvest now, rather than, popping in and there's just, oh, there's one ripe, taking it, or immediately eating it. I think actually I could bring out a little basket and harvest some tomatoes and cucumbers. So we shall do that. But first of all, here's my first little tray to get sorted. A load of viola seed tossed about, but yeah, definitely some salvageable stuff there. What I am slightly worried about is the ones where the labels have fallen out and now I don't even know what it is, because then you don't quite know how to treat it or where to put it. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to hey ho, hey ho. Well, a couple of hours later, and everything is potted up. Didn't lose too much. There are quite a few broken stems and things, but the majority were fine. And mostly I know what everything is. There are some now mystery seeds. Always got the mystery seeds. So this is what we've got. We have cauliflower cheesy, which is enough one. Calabrese marathon, so that's the broccoli. I think this is, yeah, the Asturian tree cabbages. And I've got a few more up there, which I've put into single pots because I promised quite a few people Asturian tree cabbage on the plot. We have got here kale, so there's Cavolo Nero, and I think there's purple sprouting broccoli in there as well. And this one is definitely all Calabrese. Okay, so I knew those. Then we have, well, these did get messed up. So some of these will be beetroot, but others might be chard, might be spinach. All of these are summer purslane. So I knew those, got a whole tray of those. Oh, those are the violas that we started with. Then in this tray, now these are the ones that I'm a bit unsure of. So we've got definitely hollyhocks. I can tell by the leaf for those. That's all mystery. Then we've got lamb's lettuce, poached eggplant, and maybe mabuna, not quite sure. And then this one has got pak choy and bronze beauty lettuce, but there's also some other lettuces in there. And then there were 3 more broccoli there. And then at the very end, I think that's the Chinese cabbage. So there are going to be some surprises as things grow, but actually that wasn't too bad considering the carnage that we started with. So yeah, quite happy with that. Right, it's lunchtime. I've got to go pick up the car, so let's just quickly get some tomatoes and let's see if we can get a cucumber. Okay, so we've got one. Which one is that? I think it's Telegraph and a crystal lemon. Now, I've been a bit disappointed by the crystal lemon. They're coming up bitter. So I'm doing that thing where you rub the ends together to try and combat the bitterness, but they haven't been very edible so far. These ones have been great though. Okay, so we'll try that and see if that one's any better. Right, tomatoes. One of the ones ready to harvest is the sun gold. So thought it was some gold. It's saved seed, so it's produced something else. But let's take a couple of those. Now this one is blueberry, and those are ready now because they've started to go orange and they've got the brown shoulders. There's some smaller ones at the bottom that are more red, but they're not just snapping off yet. So a couple of blueberry, garnet. So they are soft. They're not quite snapping off, but I can feel that they are definitely ripe. And there's a few more up here. Oh, wow. It's so nice to be finally harvesting a substantial amount of tomatoes and not just the odd one. Okay, so that's garnet, done the sun gold. What about this one here? That's that lava, and there's another one there actually, and they have some. So there's one. Oh, sorry, cucamelon. One there. Now these are the ones that look like a grapefruit inside. They'll be pinky inside, or they're supposed to be anyway. And then there was some more over here. Let me take a couple and leave those to ripen. Oh, there's one actually. It's fallen off behind this basil. Oh, oh, oh. There we go. Oh, I think that's a honeycomb. Any more honeycomb? Yeah. A few there. Anything else? So all these huge ones, I mean, that is absolutely enormous, that tomato. This is Alice's dream, but it's not ready yet. There might be a couple there. These are, what is this one? Black strawberry. That one's looking very pink. I might take one. We'll see if it's ripe. So that's black strawberry. That's, what's that one? Oh, Brad's Atomic. Yeah. Oh, now they do stay quite a dark colour, don't they? But they're not soft yet. No, they're not ready yet. That black crim, nowhere near ready yet. We've got some big tomatoes on though. Black trifeli, no. Although we did have one off the plot, didn't we, of the black trifeli? Yeah. Oh well, that looks like it. Maybe that one. Oh, that's so great. An actual harvest basket. Who knew it could happen? I've got loads of basil. So I think it's tomatoes on toast with basil for lunch. And then let's go see if my car is going to bankrupt me. Well, that was a lovely morning walk down the river, and it's nice to be reminded that there is abundance out there, even when the stuff that you're trying to grow is not growing. So I've picked some elderberries here, and I've got some sloe berries there as well, and I shall prep these and then freeze them in in readiness for my hedgerow syrup that I'll make for the winter. So we'll probably make that in September, and I don't think I've done that with you before, so we'll have that as a segment in a video coming next month. I don't have a lot of time to do this because we're heading out. We're going to the allotment, but not our allotment. This is another local allotment and it's having an open day. So we're going to head down there and have a look around that site. It's a site where Mark used to have an allotment when he was a kid. So we'll hunt that one down and have a little look around, and there should be refreshments and things and maybe some plants for sale. Well, happy Bank Holiday Monday, and the sun is shining, which is lovely. And I thought I would just show you some of the things that I got from the allotment day. And the first one is this basket, a little harvesting basket. My mum treated me to that for my birthday, which is coming up. No, don't drink that water, Dory. It's got comfrey feed in it. It's got comfrey feed in it. Now, the other thing I got that was a complete bargain was this astrantia. I really love astrantias. I've really fallen in love with them this year. And I've got a couple of pink ones in the garden that are doing well. But this one is a white one and it's got all these seed heads on as well. So I thought I would take the seed heads off and save the seed, cut down the old stalks, and then there's lots of fresh new growth at the bottom. So we need to find a place for that in the garden, but very pleased with that for £1. And then I got a couple of house plants, one which is Pilea mollis, which I don't have. It's got this really kind of rough, almost like a snake skin leaf to it. So that's quite interesting. And then a Fittonia. I do love Fittonias. I've got a couple already. This is a slightly different shade. And I think what I'm going to do is plant those all up in one planter. So it's a little bit of a Fittonia display. But yeah, I was quite happy with that. They were a couple of quid each. And then lastly, from the same stall, I don't know if you've seen these on social media. People make them with various materials and things, but this is a little clay one, and it sits on the top of a vase or a mug or something like that, and or glass, and you can put your flowers in, and it holds them in a nice display. I really wanted to kind of get some of that no cook clay, or whatever it's called, self-drying clay. What's it called? I don't know. Anyway, I was going to make some, but no, just bought one. But it was the last one there. I couldn't resist. And my cousin got one as well. So very happy with my little selection of bargains from the allotment day. So it's really good to have a look round the allotment site. Found Mark's old plot. Still had the bathtub in that he had put on there 20 years ago. We had a good look round, and it was interesting to compare to last year. We didn't think there was quite as much going on the plots as there was last year. I mean, last year there were pumpkins everywhere, huge pumpkins, and we saw a few this year, but really not that many. And yet there was one plot that was almost completely rhubarb, and you might have seen in the footage before, I was trying some of the wines. And I think I tried elderflower wine. No, it was gooseberry wine and blackcurrant and hyacinth or hibiscus wine. Um, but I was wondering about this guy who'd got this plot full of rhubarb, whether he was making rhubarb wine. And then I was thinking, I have quite a lot of rhubarb plants. In fact, there are two little rhubarb plants here that I found at the back of the garden, which I guess I thought had died last year because I planted Victoria, is it Victoria rhubarb? And yeah, they're growing nicely. In fact, we'll put them into water with the aubergines there. So yeah, I did wonder about perhaps putting some more rhubarbs on my plot, with the view to making rhubarb wine next year. I think Liz Zora makes rhubarb wine, doesn't she? I have to look it up. But yeah, I think it was interesting to see some other plots and how other people have been struggling as well. And we definitely felt that there were more plots that had been abandoned this year. And I do wonder, I've kind of been hearing on the grapevine that some people are just giving up on this season or giving up entirely on the allotment because it has been such a hard year. And I've been feeling that. I've definitely been feeling that. And yeah, although, you know, I've sort of joked earlier in the video, but you know, I'm not ready to give up. It has been testing, but yesterday I put together all the harvests that I've been collecting from here in the home garden, and I got some stuff off the allotment plot, and I kind of put it all together. And you know what? There was a lot there. So obviously there was tree spinach. I'm inundated with tree spinach. But I'd also been getting now the Cavolo Nero kale. There was an amaranth that had snapped off, so I brought that home to put in the flower vase. Obviously I'm getting courgettes. More tomatoes are coming, including now the first of the old German. The peppers are coming. The peppers are getting a little bit soft in the greenhouse. I don't quite know what's going on with those, but I got a few yellow banana ones. Crystal lemon cucumbers and the telegraph cucumbers are coming. I had some apples that were from the community orchard and also some raspberries from the plot as well. And then just today, the apple tree that's in my front garden, which is the James Grieve one. So that was new in. So last year was its first year in the front garden. So I took off all the baby apples. I didn't let it produce apples last year so that it put energy into the roots. And I've been rewarded this year by some really good sized apples. I mean, look at the size of that. This one I noticed this morning had fallen off. So I picked it up, but it looks pretty much pristine. It's got a little bit of a bump on the bottom, but I can't wait to try that. So that'll be my first James Grieve apple, which was also, that tree was a present from my mom as well. And the other thing that I just harvested was my first Alice's Dream tomato. I cannot tell you how excited I am to taste this tomato, but I am being really restrained because I just want it to ripen that little bit more. So I'm putting it on the windowsill, and I want it to be perfectly ripe when I try this because I've heard such good things about it and I don't want to be disappointed. So I want to eat it at its peak. So let's put those in my harvest basket. And the other thing I thought we might do while I'm sitting here is harvest some of these aubergines because I think they're ready. This one is the long purple aubergine. It's the first time I've grown this variety, and the seed was from my Seed Santa from Instagram, Growbus Greenhouse. And I think I've only got the one plant left of this that survived. And actually, these poor plants, although I've got 6, and I've got 4 different varieties within the 6 actually, oh my goodness, they've struggled. They got absolutely covered with aphids and have just, there's still aphids on there now, but they have recovered a little bit and they are producing fruit. So let's take this one. This is the long purple. And then under here, we should have one of these ones ready. Now that one is, let's remind myself of the name. Oh yeah, jewel marble. So that's a jewel marble. There's another one coming there. You don't want to let these ones get too big, and they will start to yellow when they're going over. So that is perfect. Yeah, happy with that. Any more? So there's a couple more long purple there. This is the check early, and actually, yeah, we've got quite a few on here, but none, I don't think, that are ready to harvest just yet, but they don't need to get much bigger than that. So they're both dual marble. That's the long purple. They're both check early. So this is the Black Beauty, but there's really not much going on there except for, yeah, there is one. Oh, you know, it's just coming, but maybe we'll get a Black Beauty as well. Okay, so just two aubergines there, but yeah, excited about that. We'll maybe make a curry later. Oh, that reminds me actually. So after I'd done that harvest the other day, I decided that I really needed to start using some of these courgettes in a more serious way. Can't just keep making courgette cake. So I did just like a courgette bake, and it was some own onion and garlic fried off. Then I put in some passata, some chilli, and a tin of mixed beans, and then I layered the rounds of the courgette all around the top, put some tomato on, a little bit of drizzle of vegan cream, some nooch and some breadcrumbs, and put it in the oven. And oh my God, it was the most delicious thing I've eaten in ages. It was so good. In fact, I might forget the curry and just make that again tonight. But yeah, it was really delicious. So I'll put some semblance of the recipe that I did in the description below. So the last thing I wanted to share with you is some of the things that I'm going to be sowing over the next week. It's my last week of annual leave, and I'm also very aware that I promised a big project and I have not delivered on it, and I've been putting it off, and this week I must do it, again using you to keep myself accountable. So next week's video, big project video. Telling myself that's what's going to happen. In the meantime though, I'm also going to do a few more sowings. Hello Dory, with all the seedlings falling over. So there are some things that I'm re-sowing. There are some things that I'm sowing for the first time. One of which is Sweet Sicily. I mean, it's not the first time. I did sow it last year and nothing came up, which I was really disappointed by. So I'm going to have another go at Sweet Sicily. You can only sow Sweet Sicily in September and October, according to the packet. And I really want to get this because Sweet Sicily is a herb that you can use with rhubarb that sweetens it naturally, so you don't have to use loads of sugar. And I really want to do that. Maybe I can have rhubarb and Sweet Sicily wine. Parsley. I've not really sown any parsley this year. I think this always happens to be with parsley. Do you want to come over, Dory? Come here then. That's it. You can get round. I sort of... Hello. I sort of have parsley overwintered, and then it seems like there's just loads, so there's no reason to sow it. And then, of course, it goes over, and then you have no parsley. So we're going to sow parsley, Dory. Caraway. Never sown caraway before, grown caraway. So going to have a go at that. That you can only sow in May and August, and you won't harvest it till October the following year. So a long time to look forward to caraway. I've got some land cress that says sow March to July or September. So that one. My mustard. So I've got a Chinese mustard called Garden in Snow, and I've got Mr. Hong's Vietnamese mustard. I want some more lettuces because all of this is about preparing for the greenhouse over winter. So once those tomatoes come out, the greenhouse becomes the salad bar. And so I want plenty of lettuces and mustards and Chinese oriental greens to go in. So Bronze Beauty lettuce, and then the other lettuce that I've got, she says, oh, Arctic King. Now, I cannot remember if it was Winter Imperial or Arctic King, which was the really good lettuce in the greenhouse last year. But I'm leaning more towards Arctic King. So let's do that. Right, Dory? I've got chervil. Okay. Never grown that before either. More coriander. That will go into the greenhouse as well, as will the dill. I've just put some dill out actually in the garden this morning that I had left over in cells. I want the dill to make the dill pickles with the cucumbers. Mabuna and Mizuna. So I'm doing both of those now. Mabuna, Mizuna. More lamb's lettuce or corn salad, and the claytonia that I had sown before, I realised is summer claytonia. What I really need is winter claytonia. So I've got some of that to sow. And these are all things that you can sow August or September. So now is the time. Oh, hang on, two more. Oh yeah, that Kyoto green bunching spring onion. So this is a spring onion that can be sown August and September. And oh, I've got some more chicory. Yes, because the chicory I put out on the plot didn't look great. I think it's still there. It may have been slugged since, but I'm going to do another sowing of chicory, and that is, you can sow that up till August as well. I think that's everything that I'm going to be sowing over the next week. Let me know what you might be sowing, and yeah, give me some encouragement about this. I was pointing to it there, giving you a hint at what this big project might be. If you've got a map of my garden, you might know what it is I'm gesturing towards. So yeah, I need to take inspiration, I think, from one of my earlier videos. See it, do it. That's going to be my motto for next week, and I will catch you then.